Chapter 93 Fisher. The driver yawned and said, "This is the Qingdao Yinhuacan Expressway. We'll pass by it when we enter Qingdao in a while. Then we can see which shoddy project has been exposed again." A fissure appeared in the upper rail. Tijao felt a bit strange, although he knew the earthquake would come at noon the next day. Would there be any strange omens before that? Before Tijao could figure it out, the driver suddenly slammed on the brakes, and the speed that was originally 120 kilometers per hour dropped sharply. Tijao, sitting in the back row, hadn't fastened his seatbelt at all, and the sudden braking almost made him hit the front seat. What's going on? He raised his head in confusion after steadying himself. It's strange. There's a long line of cars on the expressway. Tijao looked into the distance following the driver's gaze, and sure enough, he found that the traffic ahead was extremely congested. The colorful vehicles on the road stretched as far as the eye could see. The driver looked at the time anxiously. "Oh, I guess there's been a series of collisions. I've encountered it before. It will be blocked for at least an hour. The entrance and exit to Qingdao are just ahead. It's almost 7:30. What should we do?" He kept looking left and right, as if thinking about how to change lanes to bypass this congested traffic flow. "It's okay, Master. This is considered as arriving in Qingdao already," Tijao said. "Just drive slowly." The driver looked at Tijao with a bit of shame in the rearview mirror. "You're a really nice young man. Don't worry, I'll definitely get you home before 8:30. Tijao nodded and didn't say anything more. The driver also slowly moved the car to the end of the line. What neither of them expected was that this long line of cars hadn't moved at all since they joined it, and cars were constantly driving in behind them. Now, they were stuck in the middle of the whole line, unable to move forward or backward. It's really strange. After waiting for more than an hour and seeing that it was almost 8:30, the driver could only scratch his head helplessly. Even if there were a series of collisions, they should have been dealt with by now. Kaishao was a bit impatient, but at this moment, there was no better way than to wait. The distance from their location to KXIA's residence was still 20 or 30 km. If Kaishao walked on foot like before, he was afraid that he wouldn't arrive until dawn. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone again and dialed Neon AN's number, but still no one answered. A busy signal on the other end of the phone made Kaishao even more upset. At this time, both of them were silent, and only the radio in the car was still making a rustling sound. "Dear listeners, an unknown climate phenomenon has occurred on the Qingdao Yinhuacan Expressway. The actual situation awaits expert analysis. Drivers who have the conditions are advised to make a detour in advance." Climate phenomenon? It was the first time the driver had heard such a new term on the radio, and he was a bit confused. "I guess it's like ball lightning or mirage," Tijao explained. "Maybe it attracted a lot of people to watch and might also indirectly cause traffic accidents. So that's how it is. You know a lot. Young man, are you a college student?" Tijao didn't pay any more attention to the driver and continued to lean back in his seat and close his eyes to rest. In his lost memory, he didn't choose to return to Qingdao that night, so he knew nothing about what happened on the expressway. He only knew that when he set off the next morning, the whole road had returned to normal. In other words, the current traffic jam wouldn't last long, and the best choice for Tijao at present was to wait. When people wait for a long time aimlessly, they will all feel irritable. After all, no one knows how long they have to wait. The sound of car horns gradually rose one after another on the road, making people feel restless. After a while, the drivers gradually turned off their engines, got out of their cars, and started chatting with each other. The taxi driver was obviously a restless person. As soon as he saw people walking around, he got out of the car at once. He stopped paying attention to Tijao, instead put a cigarette in his mouth and started chatting with several nearby drivers. Took out his mobile phone to send a message to Neon Ann. "And something might happen tomorrow. Tax some daily necessities. I'll take you out to avoid it in the morning." Tijia deliberately made the matter sound serious. The most important thing at present was to make Union and understand the importance of the matter the moment she saw the message. As for words like earthquake and they could be temporarily left unmentioned. After doing all this, Tijal leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes. For some reason, even though he knew there would be an earthquake tomorrow, he would feel at ease as long as he was by Yunmian and S side. His abilities were limited, and he couldn't save too many people. Now, if he went around spreading the news that there would be an earthquake tomorrow, he would be arrested immediately for disturbing public order. So, within a limited scope, Kaisha could only choose to save a few people. He had never thought of himself as a savior. Everything he did was just to survive in this world. Closed his eyes and dozed off for a while. He didn't know how long had passed when he was suddenly woken up by the driver opening the door. Young man, come and look at this. He didn't care whether Tijal was sleeping or not and shouted loudly. What? Tijal opened his eyes blankly and saw the driver waving a mobile phone at him. He took the phone and found that it was a photo. The shooting location should be the toll booth at the entrance of the expressway ahead. This was taken by a driver ahead. It's been spread all over this road. The driver said excitedly. You're so knowledgeable, young man. Hurry up and help me see what kind of climate phenomenon this is. Tijal enlarged the picture and couldn't help frowning. If it was a climate phenomenon, this thing was really too rare. He saw a fissure hanging in the sky, and many luminous things were pouring down from the fissure, as if stars were falling. Many cars were blocked by this light curtain and couldn't move forward at all. The sky is cracked? Tijal asked in confusion. Yes, it really looks like there's a crack in the sky. Is this climate phenomenon called? It looks like the Milky Way falling from the sky. Tijal helplessly curled his lips. Uncle, although I don't know what this phenomenon is, the one you mentioned definitely doesn't exist. The driver smiled sheepishly and sat in the driver's seat, but it said that this crack is getting smaller and should disappear soon. Once those luminous things stop blocking the road, we'll be able to leave. Tijal nodded and took out his mobile phone. Then he was stunned for a moment. It's past 3 in the morning. Yes. The driver also stretched himself. You're a really nice young man. I'm not a stingy person either. So I turned off the meter long ago. Otherwise, the waiting time on the road would cost a lot of money. The problem that Kaijal was concerned about wasn't this at all. Instead, he found that Union hadn't replied yet. A sense of uneasiness spread in his heart.